Hello and welcome to the Cynic Weekly. It's Thursday, it's the 12th of March 2026. I'm your host Christopher Gallagher and we are going to talk Celtic. We have an exceptional panel. We have a full house at Cynic Towers. I think it's the first panel of four we've had on the Cynic Weekly in a number of years, number of seasons, and it's an absolute delight to introduce them one and all. Barry Gallagher. Hello Barry, how are you, sir?
Very well, thanks. Mark safe from Ibrox. I know there was a concern from me for me on the reaction, which I really enjoyed. The content's been great this week on the cynic.co.
What a boy.
So right hopefully we can add to that with a smattering of class. I don't know.
You had it. You didn't have to say I don't know, but that's great. Chris Boud's here, part of the B role, the B unit, the B team. How the hell are you, Boudy?
I'm alright. I'm cold, I'm wet, I'm bald, but I'm very, very happy about pumping Rangers 0-0 at the weekend.
Lovely. I thought you were going to make I'm bald, I'm cold, I'm Danny Roll. I don't know, something along those lines.
Edit that.
Aye, I'll make it happen. We're also joined by the wonderful Stuart Dugan. Stuart back in the weekly studio to discuss Celtic. It's good to hear from you, Stu. Good to see you. How the hell are you?
Yeah, I'm good. When you announced it was the 12th of March, the only thing I've been able to think of since, almost like a tick that I have to get out, is that I went to school with a guy whose birthday was the 12th of March and he was a prick. That's all I've been able to think about.
He's having an unhappy birthday.
I hope he is. I'm glad it's raining.
Great stuff. Odd.
Yeah, definitely weird.
Quite weird.
I'll be the first to hold my hands up to that. That is weird.
Lovely stuff. There's plenty to talk about. We're obviously going to talk about the game at the weekend. I think we'll talk about some of the kind of post-match fallout from that as well. We've got some news. I think the news stuff is just kind of not a lot of kind of depth into it. It's more kind of thoughts moving forward with the season and next season as well. If we've got time, we'll do the squad contracts feature that I've got. Again, if it doesn't work out this week, we'll knock it on to next week. Then we'll look ahead to Motherwell.
I've been enjoying that's become like Roger Moore's arriving. It's been about a month you've been kicking that can down the road.
Absolutely.
Where's all the away?
Yeah, he's just at the roundabout. But yeah, so we'll talk through that. And then obviously we've got the Motherwell game, which is exciting, scary, intimidating, and a huge opportunity for Celtic to lead in a marker. But we're going to start with a question, an opening question, and it's quite a huge blow if Callum McGregor is going to be unavailable for an extended period. But the question to you is, how big a blow or how big a loss will Callum McGregor be if he is indeed out for an extended period? Let's start with Barry.
Yeah, I think it will be undoubtedly a loss because he is the sort of metronome of our team. I think in recent years he's really grown into the kind of the intangibles like that Scott Brown used to have. I think he's learned that role because I don't think he always had it. I thought it was really encouraging that him and Tierney were at the side of the park on Sunday. I think that was a kind of show of unity, but it will be a loss because while you could argue his form hasn't been great recently, he is still the driving force and he can sort of dig you out of a hole when you need it or gee other players up. But just to counter that, I think that we've gone to a really difficult place. On Sunday we've come through it without him, so there is almost, the players know they can do it without him, whether you argue that we never actually won the game but we got through the tie, so it could be just sort of galvanise them from that, but without a doubt you would rather have him there. So if we could get him back in the next couple of weeks, that'd be great. But yeah, I think it's a loss, and I think, as we'll come on to, I think when the teams come out, and I know there was kind of rumours beforehand, wasn't there, that it wasn't going to make it. You don't want to believe those things, but it was interesting standing in the prolonged queue to get into Ibrox, as we'll come on to later. Just seeing the realisation of people reading the team,
Popping
and like, why Scales captain? Like, oh, McCowan's in midfield, and then like, oh fuck, where's McGregor?
Yeah.
So I think it caught everyone by surprise. But he is such a big part of our team, so the sooner we can get him back, the better.
Bowdy, he's obviously he's a player who has been there, done that in terms of winning titles. Coming into the biggest stretch of the season, not having him would be difficult.
100%, yeah. He's absolutely pivotal. not just the intangible. I mean,
the tangibles.
The tangibles. Yep. When we move the ball from the back, which we tend to do, it's through McGregor. When he's not taking the ball, he's directing the defenders as well. And then that's all just exacerbated by the fact that there simply isn't somebody to step in his place.
There's no like for like in the squad, really, is there?
No. And that's probably made worse by, you could potentially, a few people probably wouldn't like it, but Engels would potentially be the first person you put in there, and he's injured. And it has been an absolutely awful season for Celtic and injuries. But that aside, this is something we should have been planning for several years. Just to be able to give McGregor a rest, we should have had somebody who's quite easily substitutable in there, but we don't have it. So we're probably in a position where you're either going to play somebody out of position or you're bringing out Bernardo from the cold, which either way isn't fantastic. But he's absolutely pivotal to that team, and not having him is going to be a massive blow.
I just come back in there. See, we're talking about like how we should have been preparing for this, like Boud says, but it just makes it all the more silly to play him in like the Auckland game and stuff like that. There's no need for him to play in games like that. And I remember O'Neill made a comment at that point, like it was almost as if he needed McGregor there to remind the players who had come in of the standards and stuff like that, and that kind of jarred me a wee bit. But yeah, it just kind of feels like we've ran him into the ground a wee bit.
Stu, obviously Oxlade-Chamberlain's a quality footballer, still getting up to speed. Bernardo is someone who I thought, we talked about it just before we started recording, did really well when he came on against Rangers, but there has been times where he's came on and he's been quite, he's not had an impact in the game. Engels unavailable. Who do you look for in that midfield if McGregor isn't available?
Well, it's been a big week, obviously, for people who made their whole Celtic supporting personality believing that Iwata shouldn't have been sold to Birmingham. So I hope they're enjoying themselves. But that, Boud's kind of nailed it, that there isn't a like for like replacement, and a lot of the replacements that we've had, no one's really sort of taken their opportunity. I think on paper, Bernardo probably is the best fit to come in and play that role.
Agreed.
As a bit of an anchor, good athlete, can be quite physical and quite technical on the ball. But he's just been given the opportunity a few times and not really taking it. I think that Oxlade-Chamberlain can do that, but probably only in specific games. I think that the pace of the game, the physicality of the league, these are things that he's probably still adjusting to, and so that, for example, doesn't make him a good option against like going to Ibrox. But perhaps some of the home games, perhaps some of the remaining games we have before the split, he could do that. And I think that if Arnott Engels was fit, he would be the de facto sort of player to come in and do that. So that is kind of the issue. But I suppose to try and look at a positive, because I think it's really clear how much of a loss he'll be, it does create opportunity. It creates opportunity for one of those players, a player like Bernardo, who has let a season just sort of drift by. He could have a really significant role between now and the end of the season, depending on how long McGregor's out for. And also, just to the point about how much McGregor kind of controls and coaches people through the game, I thought that, we talked about this a little bit on the agenda on Monday, that during the game on Sunday, I was so enthused to see players just take leadership and take responsibility for themselves. I thought Austin Trusty was a brilliant leader. I thought Rayo Hatate just showed a side of his game that I've never seen in all the years he's been at Celtic. And then another good example, obviously the man that's sort of taking the armband, Liam Scales, I think, helps fill that void of just accountability. And I think that sometimes when you have someone that's so head and shoulders the leader in the team, it's easy to hide behind him. And I think not having him there, and with the stakes being as high as they are, might just bring out an extra 5-10% out of some of these players. So it's a big loss, but trying to look at it with a positive, that it could bring some good.
I'm just going to kind of build on that. It potentially gives 2 or 3 players the opportunity to pick up some of that slack. Like Stuart says, it's almost like seeing like the lead guitarist leaves a band, and you need 2 or 3 other guitarists to make up the sum of the parts that's left by that void, and it might encourage players to kind of come out of their shell a wee bit more, because like you say, there was leaders all over the park and on Sunday, and how often have we said that this squad lacks leaders? So it might be just a case of we're all in this together. I was enthused by some of the comments from Sinisawa today about Fotheringham. and how he makes people feel like $1 million. So
Mark Fotheringham, of course.
Yes. What did I say?
You called him Fotheringham. It's fine. Everyone calls him Fozzie. Just a bit of fun. Just a bit of fun, Barry, you know.
But yeah, so it feels like the squad, although we aren't playing the best, it feels like mentally we've got that kind of fortitude, and it might be just a case of we're in this together. We need to just try and pick up the slack until Callum's back.
Yeah.
So the Cynic officially endorses Callum McGregor's injury.
Take your time, son.
Take your time, eh? Chill out. Martin O'Neill on McGregor says, so he was asked about him and Kieran Tierney. Certainly Kieran would have a better chance of playing at this moment, but we will see. Callum has been terrific for us and an incredible player and captain for the club. He's done really well, and the sooner we can get him back on the field, the better it will be for us. Very inconclusive there, holding his cards close to his chest, as he's entitled to do, Martin O'Neill. But it does feel like it does feel like Boud, it could go either way. It could be back within a couple of days, or it could be a 5 or 6 week number. And if it is a little bit longer, then, you know, as excited as we are to maybe see how the team's going to kind of pull together, there are, you know, a small amount of players that can fit in that midfield just in general.
Aye, and obviously it's getting to the most important part of the season. We're coming up to the split, so pretty gutting to lose your captain. I don't think it's unfair to say Bernardo's probably not been given a fair shake at it. We can talk about, you know, he came in and not had.
Let me jump in. Sorry, yes or no? Would you start Bernardo against Motherwell if McGregor's not available?
Yeah, that he would be my pick for that for sure.
100%.
Barry? Yeah, I think I would go with that too. Interesting. Sorry, Boud, back to what you were saying.
I was just going to say, I think he has. I think manager after manager should have been using Bernardo a bit more. And it's right to say he hasn't been excellent when he's got opportunities, but he's never really got any kind of run of games together, or even run of substitute appearances to get some game time together, which I think leads to stuff like running Callum McGregor into the ground and injuring him. I
think also it's because it's such a position that we've had such good quality over the last couple of years. Stuart, our midfield, has been the fulcrum for an entire team, specifically last season.
Yeah, but I suppose it's an issue that permeates the entire squad, where when you lose a few key players, the quality just drops overall. Like, I guess the first kind of main stint that he would have had out, when it would have been under Ange, and Matt O'Reilly sort of dropped into that sixth. Right. Matt O'Reilly's just as good a technical player as you're going to see in that Celtic team over the last 5-10 years, and
played away in Germany in the sixth. Matt O'Reilly,
and we don't have that. He really thrived, really came out of shell there. So it's difficult, but I kind of feel like as we become more direct and less of a football team that plays through the lines, maybe the role of building from the back is not quite as significant.
Just a couple of numbers in league games. This is just league games since 22-23 season. Celtic have played 13 games without Callum McGregor. We've won 11 and we've lost 2, with an 84.6% pass range. If you compare last week, the 2-each draw with the 0-0 draw, Celtic possession dropped from 55% to 41%, while accuracy of passing dropped from 78% to 72%. But you could, that's obviously, did Celtic set it up that way because McGregor wasn't available? We went long 17% of our passes on Sunday compared to 9%, Barry, on 17% on Sunday compared to 9% the week before. It just shows you quite a difference in it going on.
I think you made a good point there. That I think it is a result of McGregor not being there, because you're aware of how good he is on the ball and kind of keeping the ball and getting it moving. As we said, I think before we came on air, that it felt like McCowan, who was his direct replacement, just couldn't keep hold of the ball at all. So I think if you're a defender and you see that and it keeps constantly coming back to you, it would encourage you, if it wasn't by design, but it would encourage you to adapt to do that, because if McCowan was getting on the ball and losing it, then you just want to get it away from that anyway.
See, McCowan, let's start kind of chatting about the draw. It was a draw in 90 minutes, but we won on penalties.
Best draw ever.
Greatest of all time. obviously you were there, Barry, so we're going to get your insight in a bit. But Celtic qualify through to the semi-finals against now managerless St Mirren. It'll be interesting to see how that kind of plays out. But I was thinking about McCowan. Is that kind of the only... No, I wouldn't call it a mistake, but was that the only decision that maybe didn't work for the manager on the day?
I think so. Excuse me. I think you could argue that we didn't really offer much up top in terms of the wingers. I thought the wingers were both really poor. Tanecki worse than Yang, but it was pretty close. But you could argue again that's the point. That is a result of the midfield being the way it was.
Everything's interlinked, didn't it?
Yeah. So yeah, I think in terms of team selection, obviously when you first see it, as we said, you get the fright of your life, and I'm not that type of person, but nice to go back and kind of screenshot what everyone was saying when the team came out. Maybe I'll do that. But yeah, I think other than that, I think that probably is the only one that was questionable, because I thought it was really poor. But yeah, other than that, I thought defensively were great, and I think Stu made the point on the agenda. You see the value of certainly the three centre halves, will include Scales, is that even though he played left back, like how good they are at defending when they're asked to defend, and we've maybe been doing them a disservice asking them to kind of build the play for us because they're not confident at it. But I think some of their finest hours in a Celtic shirt have come when it is that sort of defending your box with your life. If you think of Atalanta and Bologna and obviously Ibrox on Sunday.
See, just on that, do you know what really fucking annoys me when you think about the game state in the league right now, where we're 5 points behind Hearts, but if you beat Hearts 2 points, that trusty red card at Tynecastle, that Celtic were playing the exact way that they played on Sunday, where like they were happy to just defend their 6-yard box, and I just feel like we would have seen that out if it wasn't for the red card, and that's just irked me there. It's irked me all over again. That's maybe how you're going to try and approach those games, where you're just like smash and grab, and
it's interesting. Obviously, Boud, in terms of a defensive display, we were under the cosh a bit, but at the same time, we stood up to it. And it's something that, Barry mentioned Atalanta and Bologna. It's something you would probably more connect with European performances. But at the same time, when you don't have the tools available to you, you use the tools that can actually see you through.
Yeah, 100%.
What a weird statement. Sorry.
What tools?
What tools?
But you're losing two huge players. Just before that game, you're already, your squad's depleted. Going a little bit more defensive and just soaking up what they can throw at you. Well, it worked, didn't it? And as Barry was saying, I think the three centre backs were excellent, and we could all at the start of it say, why on earth is Scales starting? Why isn't Sarachi starting? But it did look tactically like it was
height, wasn't it?
Yeah,
it was a height decision. Sarachi, do you think Boudie? Obviously, you were surprised he didn't play, but do you think he comes into the team on Saturday? I'm sorry to jump ahead, but I want to hear from the three of you just with that.
I would like to see him come into the team on Saturday. I don't know if he will.
Well,
I suppose Trusty's not there, so Scales back into centre back. So I probably will be Sarachi.
Barry, do you think that, just in terms of, obviously, you've got young Arthur, who had a really good display, 1 or 2 errors, but obviously that's just, he's still learning in the game, and I think everyone was happy with his overall performance. Dane Murray came in and he was excellent again, back to the wall sort of stuff. Trusty won't be there. Do you think it will be one of Murray or Arthur with Scales and Sarachi left back, or do you think they'll keep doing what they're doing?
No, I think Sarachi will come in. I think, based on the kind of good points you've made there, but I also think we're going to have more of the ball, and as I mentioned earlier, I think the wingers have been so out of form recently. You're almost going to look to Araujo and Sarachi, I think, to try and give you that width and create things. So yeah, I think he'll come in, but I think it's given as a sort of template for the harder games, like Stuart was saying, like
Hearts at Tynecastle, maybe,
even Hearts at home and Rangers at home again, have them in there. But yeah, I think we need Sarachi just for his sort of endeavour and getting forward to kind of help us sort of fashion an opportunity. It'd be nice to have a shot on target again.
That's assuming KT isn't fit.
Yeah,
I think Tierney will start. I think that it's as difficult a game as you'll have for the rest of the season, and I think that they'll view it with like a proper cup final sort of mentality, that if he can give you an hour, they'll take that. And then probably Sriracha. I think it'll be a more traditional left back as opposed to playing Scales and then the two young boys. But I think if there's a chance of him starting, I think Tierney will soldier through it.
Great stuff.
See, just on that point as well, I think we mentioned obviously the kind of the loss of McGregor's leadership. That would give you another leader in there as well on the park. Yeah,
and I think he's hitting form at the exact right time that you want him to.
Goal scoring form as well.
Yeah, I think Tierney's one that commenting and kind of analysing him as the season has went has been quite interesting, because we've had a lot of people, I've never said he's done, but you've had plenty of people saying he's done. You've had plenty of people saying within the space of 3 or 4 games that he's back to his best. It's like your season, it's like a roller coaster.
Would you like a hot take, Chris?
I'd love one.
I think that, so it was Alan, formerly of this parish, that was talking about this, about player of the year and stuff like that, and I think whatever you think of him, Benjamin Negron is probably the runaway candidate for that. But if you want another candidate, I think Kieran Tierney would be right up there. I think his slow start and I think that it's been exaggerated how poor he was at the start of the season. I think it was a frustration that he couldn't get through 90 minutes. But if you look at his injury record, he hasn't really had a single injury where his body's like broken down on him. He has been managed, and I think the last few months he's been really, really excellent and really crucial. And I know that there are some people that are just like, oh, Tierney's dead duck, he's not as good as he used to be and all that, but I think he's been fantastic, and I think he will be really crucial towards the end of the season.
I think we'll see the best of him next season.
Yeah.
Like see when you have like a real structure with what Asko's going to bring, just a bit of fun. Was it fun?
Tierney signing for Brentford.
I just got a notification saying that Finnish Faros boss Keane leads the way in the Celtic shortlist for managers.
Oh, Boud, you've ruined my
enjoy that.
My entire...
Can I drop in an impromptu quiz?
Of course you can. Right, listen.
How many games in all competitions do you think Tierney has played this season? I'll start with Boud.
Could you tell us how many games Celtic have played?
Oh, I couldn't. Sorry, I don't have that. I don't have that to hand.
It's pure harmless.
It's impromptu, as I
see.
27.
Okay, Stu.
So there's 9 league games left, so we've played like 29 games. I think Kieran Tierney will have played 32 games.
Gal?
I reckon Kieran Tierney will have played 44 games.
Gal wins 42.
Whoa! I was going to say 42. That's McGregor.
This is the most amount of games he has played since he last played for us.
Oh, there you go.
Wow, there you go. Yeah.
I think when you're talking about you'll see the best of him next season, I think I would consider this season getting the monkey off his back with regards, well, touch wood, obviously, with regards to getting back to full fitness and playing at a high level again. Obviously, the team around him has not helped.
I mean, say if you think about how, like, the Rodgers, like, so when I was thinking about this today, like, Celtic have been chaos the entire season.
Yeah.
Like, the start of the season when Rodgers was the manager, everyone secretly, I think, was like, this is not working to the point where I think the manager needs to go. He's definitely not going to go, so I'm not going to show my true feelings about things because I don't want to have a season of chaos, right? The transfer window, chaos, nothing happens. You know, we bring in 2 or 3 players. And then, obviously, Nancy, I'm just describing what's happened to the season, but see, if you, it's quite funny.
Please don't.
But
it's been horrible.
but it's worth thinking about where we are in terms of how we're judging some of these players, because it's been so chaotic. You know, Nancy was this season. You know, Martin O'Neill, his first time round was this season. You know, it's all over the place.
Other things to factor in, not that we're just, and it's not like we'll just do 20 minutes of giving players a bye, but a player like Sebastian Tenecchia, who's been really hot and cold, and when he's been cold, he's been really fucking cold. Came off the back of a season playing wherever he was playing, so he's played like 1 million games of football. He's just played 1 million games of football.
In Sweden, wasn't he?
That could be it, yeah. That sounds about right. So perhaps you'll see better from him in the way that you did with Kuhn when sort of Kuhn had a bit of a slower start.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why he's only effective 25 minutes a game.
In terms of the penalties, like the game itself, we did a debrief of the game, and it's a very, I mean, it was. You said you described it, Stuart, as one for the sickles, and Boud, it certainly was, because
I'm a sickle and I loved it.
You are a sickle.
90-minute sickles.
Celtic had no shots on target. We are XG
no shots off target.
Perfect in a way. But Boud, like in terms of when Celtic's, when it went to extra time and it gets to penalties, what was your confidence level with the penalties?
Not really. Generally, as a Celtic fan, I don't go into penalties massively confident, just in that we can't score them, so that doesn't help.
Well, can we? We've won a few now. We've won a few now.
Turns out we can. And Sinisalo's just a bit of an unknown going into that. So, I wasn't massively confident, but I suppose the way it felt, the way the game was going, I was up for it. I was up for beating them.
Barry?
I think that's it. Like, I think the longer the game went on and we were soaking up the pressure, and I felt like it felt almost like a relief to get to penalties. And I know that's crazy considering, as Boud says, of traditionally how we are at penalties, but there was wee things going through my head. I was thinking, see, when the toss went that they were going to shoot up towards the Copeland,
I think that worked in our favour.
I was thinking Matchday missed down at our end back in '94. And even wee things during the shootout, like see the first penalty when the Ox took it, I loved it. Sinisalo took the ball and went and handed it to him. It meant there was no jiggery-pokery of having to get the ball off the keeper. It kind of took that pressure away. And I think the psychology of what Sinisalo was doing, some people around me at the game were annoyed because they thought he was doing too much of it and he could have saved the ones that he never.
He almost did, though. He almost did.
But I thought that was really good, and obviously it's a huge help when they're designated penalty taker. No one's in more penalty practice in the world in the history of the game.
Do you know who'll love that? The dads are going to love that. They're going to lap that one up, Barry.
Clip that. But when he misses,
Brian McManus is just like, yes, Barry.
When he misses, you think, fucking hell, like we might be onto something
terrible
here.
Penalty, terrible.
And the fact that it was the very first one, you feel like they're up against it straight away. But yeah, and it was so nice knowing that we had two bites at the cherry, even if Tam had missed.
Yeah.
But yeah, brilliant.
The biggest difference, other than obviously we won, I think, between that penalty shootout and if you look at the cup final against Aberdeen, is that it looked coached. It looked like they'd practiced penalties, and it looked like they'd practiced routine where Sinisalo was going to get the ball and pass it on to the next player. And what a difference that makes. And I'm not suggesting that Rangers wouldn't have practiced that, but their penalties were dreadful, like really, really poor.
Even the ones they scored.
Even the ones they scored. Yeah. And then, players that, like Rio Hatate, you'd seen it last week, takes him 3 digs to score his penalty, that just brilliant. And Chvanchara as well, I think in the excitement of winning and obviously the chaos of what happens afterwards, I think people are forgetting that is an unsavable penalty. It's unbelievably good and like the highest possible pressure. So. Yeah,
I think, in terms of, the shithousery of not having a shot on target, Martin O'Neill's just destroyed XG. He's taken it and he's cut it in half with his big broadsword of doom.
Wonder where that was going.
But yeah, I mean, like, yes, anime Boud. But like, just to drag that team. And as you mentioned, Rio Hatate and Liam Scales talked about how, look, none of us really are the biggest fans of Liam Scales, but I thought on Sunday, he showed real balls in how he went about business. And he's not a left back, but he acquitted himself as well as he could. I
was going to say, I don't know if it's been confirmed. I think I maybe saw it somewhere. He was kind of penciled in to be the 5th.
Yeah, penalty taker.
Yeah, so
I'm
glad we didn't have to suffer that. But no, I think you're right. I thought he was exceptional on Sunday, and I loved his celebration talking about his balls. Arajos seemed to have coined this grab your balls to the Rangers support. So, but I think you're right to give him some praise there, because it was a real sort of leader's performance. In
terms of what you mentioned about thoughts and opinions of before when the team was read out, and we did a different type of reaction to the game. We did a diary where essentially we recorded before the game, half-time and full-time, which is available on the cynic.co. We also did the agenda, which Stu was part of, which was great, where we looked at we described, you described it perfectly, the social media aspect of it, and the videos that went up. Boud, it's been class. At the end of the day, man, it's
been brilliant. And just as you say, they must have been so confident. They were so buoyed. They were going into that thinking, this is ours, we're going to take it. We were robbed the other weekend. This is our day. They bring on a sub just to take a penalty, because they know it's a gimme. They know he can't miss a penalty.
And then he did.
It's good to see that they took the loss well.
Yeah, there's been no head loss from them, which has been good to see.
Yeah, that's reassuring. It's not for us to debrief, but I thought that Danny Rowe got a lot wrong in the game in terms of how he managed it.
To pay for a start.
Substitutions and stuff like that. Mikey Moore, I think, is by a distance their best player and their most likely chance of a goal threat. When it became really apparent that we were just going to camp in our box until penalties, then I think it's insane not to have put on
if this is
Tavernier before then with his delivery and stuff like that. And
if this is Rangers coming up, and this is us having plateaued after, generational victories, and with us having levels to go up, fingers crossed, hopefully in the summer, they're miles off it. I think Danny Rowe's a guy that has the CV. Obviously, Sheffield Wednesday, he was a bit more, he was in a different situation, but he's one of those guys I think people look at and they go, oh, that guy could be a really good coach. Could be. He's wet in the bed.
He's very much now, I think, on the 18-month sort of Rangers manager treadmill, and I think that he's done that to himself. I think if he'd kept his powder dry, you could have still taken a lot of positives out of their season from where the club were when he came in, but they've spent too much money, and he's said too many times that they need to win a trophy and that they are better than Celtic and X, Y and Z, and to not deliver that, I think that's just a red rag to them.
Do you know
seen it too many times before.
Who he could have taken a lesson from? Martin O'Neill in his first round in Celtic. Comes in, Rangers are the team to beat, keeps it cool. Obviously Celtic were battering them. He was a god, he'd taken care of it. He didn't go overexcited.
What did they say? He said Rangers are the benchmark, right?
Yeah.
Danny Rowe guy doesn't even say our name at press conferences.
The other team,
and when he was asked directly if we were the biggest rivals, he was like, "No, all right, mate, cool."
I was going to do an impression of him there, but it would have came across
risky.
It was on the tip of my tongue as well.
Would have been very hello. Obviously, as I say, we've lost.
I go somewhere else there again. No. Careful now.
Take a breath, everyone. Yep. Lovely. We've got, as I say, we've had lots of content over the week. We've had, as I say, the diary, which was beginning, middle, and end. The agenda. We did the debrief. So in terms of the game, we'll kind of finish up talking about that because there's plenty more to talk about. But I want what I've decided for a bit of fun. We'll do one word reaction to each player's performance. And I gave you this brief at the start, like earlier this afternoon. But if you haven't done anything on it, it's fine. Just go with what comes straight into your head. So let me get the team up, right? And I'll come round. And as I say, the first thing I'll say is a player's name, and I want you to react. So, and I might not go with position. So we'll go Stuart, Boud, Barry, and I will start with Sinisalo way back to Stuart. So I'll give you a second. But
are hyphenated? How are we feeling about hyphenating things?
One word. Come on.
It's all right.
Okay, 3, 2, 1. Stuart, Sinisalo.
Immense.
Boud, Austin Trusty.
Trusted.
Barry, Negrin.
Frustrating.
Okay. Stuart, Yang.
Rubbish.
Boud, Janetke.
Anonymous.
Okay, Barry, Arthur.
Encouraging.
Stuart, Scales.
Captain.
Yep, absolutely. Boud, Arojo.
Daddy.
Oh, Jesus Christ. We'll cut that up. Barry, McCowan.
Shite.
Yep. Stu, Hatate.
Leader.
Oh.
Similar to captain, obviously.
Boud, Arthur.
Decent.
Barry, Maeda.
Endeavour.
Okay, we got a couple more, right? We've got the subs. So that was everyone. Good responses. Oxlade-Chamberlain, Stuart.
Quality.
Boud, Shvanshara.
Frustrating.
Very good. Murray, Barry.
Resilient.
Good, yeah. You looked at me there.
Did we do Benjamin Arthur twice?
I think we did.
I think we did.
Oh, did we?
Threw me off.
Oh, shit, sorry. Oh, yeah. There you go. A bit of fun. You've lucked out Mvuka.
Funny. Laugh. It was a good laugh.
Boud, Forest.
Heat. As in keep the heat.
And finally,
Heat.
Bernardo.
Tenacious.
And we're going to do the coaching staff now. Martin O'Neill, Barney, Stuart.
Legend.
Boud, Sean Maloney.
I can't do it in one word. It's just a wee guy. It's just a little wee guy. What he ruffle his hair.
For me, Seville free kick. Mark Fotheringham, Barry.
Intensity.
Great stuff. Yeah, just about a fun.
That's fun. I like that.
Yeah, good. I'm glad.
My word was going to be Gaddafi. He just reminded me of Gaddafi's son playing professional football in Serie A.
Perugia.
He played for a few of them. Was it Perugia?
No, he didn't. No.
Oh, he got transferred maybe.
No.
No.
He bought a football club.
Yep.
And then he registered himself and he came on for 1 minute.
Yes.
And then he came off. So he didn't play for a number of fucking football clubs, Chris.
Can I inject a little scenario? I know it's not something we do here.
That's an agenda.
If you register on the cynic.co, you can listen to the agenda where they do scenarios.
$5 Cynic bucks for you.
Here's the scenario. Celtic are bought and taken over in the summer by a mystery financier.
The Gaddafi family.
He's back.
But in return, Joel Mvuka has to play 40 minutes of every game next season because he is, in fact, the financier.
I'm in.
I'm also in.
Dermot, I love you. I'm happy with everything that's going on. Let's just keep it as it is.
It's important to note that there is no indication that Joel Mvuka's opportunities and abilities to run a football club are any better than his abilities to play them.
It kind of would have to be if you're looking at what he does in a football. But there's been a lot. Joking aside, let's before we move on. Mvuka, you said funny. He looks like a
funny, like a clown.
Do I make you laugh? I don't know. I've been thinking about it this week, and it's like people have been saying like he looks like a competition winner. It's like. But competition winners enter competitions thinking they're going to win it. I'm not sure.
Who do you think's idea it was to bring him on?
My theory on this, I can't remember if I said this on Monday. My theory is that Celtic were sort of playing rope-a-dope a bit and they were going to try and punch Rangers out, and that they were going to try and utilise his speed to get in behind them. And I don't think anyone could have legislated for how poor he would continue to be.
It was that one where he tried to just clear it, but it went right up in straight up in the air. Yeah.
He's joking aside, right? See if you look at, obviously he's not been on the bench. He makes the 45 minutes against Dundee and he comes off at half time, and then he's not been on a squad since. And then he gets into the squad because Dane Murray's injured and he doesn't come on. And then he comes on at Ibrox, maybe as a sort of, they might not know much about him, so he might be a bit of a Hail Mary sort of thing. But after that performance, Boud, if everyone's
fit, glory be to the Father.
you're probably not picking him.
I don't think so. And I think pretty much everybody who was brought in at the end of that window has been a disappointment in some way or other. They haven't had a lot of time, so you know what, as far as those players go, maybe they could, with time and games, improve and grow into something. I just don't see it for him. And even with the struggles we have in that position, there's just nobody I would be playing him ahead of.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Stuart did a great breakdown of the video, the really famous video that's going around about Celtic coming up the tunnel at Ibrox, where Araujo, sticks his tongue out, and Vuka's just there, big smile on his face. He's almost like his handler. It's great. Couple of words on Araujo. You've mentioned him a lot, Stuart, over the last couple of weeks, but he's some boy.
Yeah, I thought he was good. I thought I think we've seen him play better, but I think in the circumstances where going into that game, that he's going to be targeted pretty much throughout, both by the fans and by multiple players. It was really evident that, is it Romans?
Yeah.
He was trying to get a rise out of him from sort of minute one. Mikey Moore was as well, and even towards the end when I think he was on a booking and Raskin's trying to bait him into a thing, and he just sort of walks away from him. He seems like for someone who looks like they've got a screw loose, is actually quite switched on.
I think he's clever,
very clever to sort of the dark arts, and I think he's been exactly what the doctor ordered in terms of someone that you can get behind and be excited by and have a sort of cult hero in the team. And obviously he's had like this huge moment at Rugby Park, and if he can continue, he's never like man of the match, but he's really good, and he'll give you like a 7 out of 10 every week, and dependable, and with that is something that we don't really have a huge amount of in the team. So
I think it's
continue.
Huge. He's not only got that passion, but as you said, he's seen through their pathetic attempts to wind him up so easily.
Managed it really well,
and then flipped it because they all get very wound up at him. It was beautiful to see.
Post match, obviously, sorry, not post match, but as the kind of final penalty goes in, Celtic fans spill onto the pitch. I'll just give you my perspective. They spill onto the pitch, but they celebrate within their own sort of confines of where they are. And, okay, it's messy, and, a lot of people will say people shouldn't spill onto the pitch, but I think if you do that, you kind of neuter the passion of the game. Rangers fans did something very similar when they got that goal that was disallowed, yeah. I think that they spilled onto the pitch and that it was unbridled joy. Then the Rangers fans ran from their end of the pitch, the other end of the pitch. There was a line of police separating. There was an attack. Barry, you were at the game. Firstly, I'd like you to tell us what happened pre-match getting in, because you said it wasn't very good at all, and then what happened during the actual situation. Yeah,
so we got the bus from Easterhouse, and we got to Ibrox maybe about 11:30, 25 to 12. The buses were all parked sort of at the Brimlin Road. I believe that's the entrance that we went in, is the entrance that they used when it was the 700 and the 2,500. Got off the bus, and then there was a huge gathering of Celtic fans. Weirdly, the buses were still coming, so the buses were driving through where they were asking us to kind of congregate, which wasn't ideal. And then they weren't letting anyone through. There was loads of ticket checks. There was police horses basically making like a makeshift gate almost, or a fence. And then obviously people were getting agitated. And luckily enough we were there early enough. But the horses were getting agitated. I always hate when they use horses, because it's not fair on the animals, and obviously they're unpredictable as well. So there was a kind of back and forth, and then they eventually started letting some people through. There was a bit of kind of pushing and shoving, and then we all kind of managed to get through. And then you got to the turnstiles, and there was a massive... I think when we got to the turnstiles, we weren't actually open yet, so there was massive queues for that as well. And it just seemed like it seemed at that point that it wasn't being policed well.
Apparently it was policed very well. I'm led to believe.
I just felt like they used the same setup that they did for much smaller numbers. Whenever I've been to Ibrox in the past, you could basically go down almost to the first. There's kind of two roundabouts outside Ibrox. You get to the kind of second roundabout, and then you had all behind the whole goal, but there was not much space at all, and it just seemed really, really badly policed. And I think it could have been a lot worse even before you got to the ground with the way they were policing it and stewarding it. So yeah, and then it just became a relief to actually get into the ground as well.
What did you make of what happened after the final whistle? Obviously, you'd been in the stadium.
It seemed, like you say, just like kind of exuberance at the joy of what had happened. And I think you kind of see those scenes up and down the country. I think you saw it on the Saturday night, and Fairmont fans were on the pitch as well. Then the fans started to kind of come back off, and then you noticed the Rangers fans coming on. And I suppose my concern at that point was getting the players off, because I know that it seemed like Dane Murray and Arajo were kind of two of the last. They were kind of still at our box area, and then you could kind of see some Rangers fans making a beeline for them. So I was glad that they got off. And then there was just kind of missiles getting thrown into the stand, obviously the flare, etc. But we were saying before we came on air, it never really seemed to me as bad as it did when you got out, and kind of messages from people to say how it was. And obviously when you see it on the TV, you appreciate how vast the numbers were on the pitch and some of the ugly scenes. But yeah, it just that it was a powder keg, and my kind of own feelings are that it was almost as if, kind of conspiracy, but it's almost as if it was by design, that they wanted something to happen so that they'll say we can never have the full allocation ever again. And I think a lot of people were thinking that even before we got into the ground, like, this is by design so that they can say, oh, we're not bringing us back for the league. And then obviously after they get most people off the pitch, we were in Ibrox for maybe about 45 minutes, an hour after the game. And that was great. Like, the singing and stuff was brilliant. And I think obviously it makes it a lot better being locked in when you've won. But in terms of the whole day, I think it's maybe one of my favourite times. I've been lucky enough to see quite a lot of victories at Ibrox, but the manner of how we did it was just, it was like a new way of doing it, like beating your biggest rivals after being so shit, and to beat them in penalties. Like, that's the stuff of kind of fan fiction, isn't it?
Can I ask you a question? This is maybe a really stupid question. I might be about to embarrass myself, so that'll be
hopefully
good. Clip it up. One thing that I've heard quite a lot is that with all the trouble afterwards, Celtic were sort of denied the opportunity to celebrate with the players. Did the players come out for a warm down, and was there any sort of acknowledgement from the players?
No,
it's a great question.
It's not bad, is it? It's not bad.
Not that I can remember, no.
Probably why we're getting all these injuries.
Yeah. And I suppose that maybe is the one bit of sadness, that you never kind of got to see the players celebrating, but the alternative was that if we hadn't won,
you'd trade it all for that video in the tunnel, to be fair. So.
And just the elation, like, I think the fact that I mentioned earlier, we knew we had two bites at the cherry, but to do it straight away, it's something that'll live long in the memory. And seeing Arajo swinging on the crossbar and all that, and I don't know, we've not mentioned it, but I don't know if it's his brother, but it's one of his close friends from childhood. His content on Instagram has been incredible. Like, he was on the park, and he's been at Celtic Park this week and just hanging about with Arajo, like, in his house, and some of the footage has been exceptional. So yeah, a really good day, and I think it could have been a lot worse than it was. That's not to sort of downplay what happened, because I know there was some really unsavoury incidents, but yeah, from my own point of view, I loved it, and it's something, like I say, that I'll always remember.
Boud, another Celtic member of staff was attacked on the pitch. This is there's a whole list of Celtic fans of that, Celtic players and staff that have been attacked on the pitch, but it's they're both as bad as each other.
Oh, 100%, yeah. As Barry said, group of fans run on the pitch to celebrate, staying within their third, even quarter of the pitch, all quite happy, not doing anything, and then thousands of very angry fans running towards them, trying to attack them, actually attacking a member of staff. Both the same, both very much. I think it's pathetic, to be honest. I think that when it comes from, it's not a surprise. This is our lifetimes. Has been the police the political class, the media class, all avoiding talking about the actual issues of sectarianism in Scotland, which is very much a one-sided issue, and the issues with the clashes between our clubs being primarily an issue for Rangers. But
they're both as bad as each other.
They're both as bad as each other. But is it deflection from the failures of the police? Possibly.
They did a great job, I'm led to believe. Again, sorry.
They're watching. I mean, we all seen the same videos. There's no way to look at that and say they're both as bad as each other. That's simply a lie. But even more pathetic is you're then, what's the word I'm looking for? Essentially, you're covering up for the bad element. Somebody's committed an act of violence, and you're trying to cover up for them by saying, actually, it's both parties. You know, if your jaw wasn't in the way of that guy's fist, maybe you wouldn't have got punched. That kind of thing. It's pretty pathetic.
Joe Farrell from BBC Scotland, Police Scotland, was at the Scottish Parliament. I'm not going to read out the whole thing, but the events of Sunday afternoon were absolutely disgraceful, and I condemn the people involved in violence. Fans, families, friends, people working at the clubs. My officers do not go to and work within that environment to witness or receiving threats and violence. Violence again. When we got to Monday evening, there was still no commentary from either of those clubs in respect of the violence that was witnessed. Nobody came out to condone that violence. Mrs. Farrell also called on the clubs to ban so-called ultras groups from getting tickets, telling clubs they need to eliminate yobs from the fan base. What I would say is, talking of the police and the Metropolitan Police and everything that's happened with them, they're all alike, eh? Judging a bunch of people by the actions of one or two, it's just a few bad eggs,
It's interesting though that the person who attacked a staff member came from nowhere near the ultra section as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Sure, we talked about it on the agenda. As we kind of, it's something that is going to. We've done a lot of kind of on the Cynic. We've done ultra stuff, and we've looked at different kind of aspects of it, and it's something that is broader than just what we're talking about today. So we'll probably finish up. But your final kind of thoughts on it?
Well, just that it's hard to have a serious discourse about it when people won't really speak about the issues in maybe black and white terms. I think that there are things that you can attribute fault to, for example, the vandalism and graffiti and stuff like that. It's hard to not come away from that with criticism. I think that's something that has happened historically in this derby and also at away grounds. It's not pleasant, but it does happen. Same with people skipping in. That's something that does happen. The scale of what happened on the pitch specifically afterwards, I don't think was a 50-50 even let's all meet in the middle and fight. Far from it. And I think unless you can reference that sort of stuff, calling it out for what it is, there is really not much point in releasing statements and having these how someone think of the children, that sort of hand wringing. And I think that the same for the police to come out and not at least acknowledge that they're going to look at what role they played in that, and could they have done things differently? Could they learn from anything that shows an unwillingness to accept any sort of fault for the situation? I think it was very easily avoidable, the stuff that happened after the match with According. If they'd just done that properly, I've seen that in other games, just not even derbies, just normal games. So I think that there were errors on that side of it as well, and that's before you get into sectarian singing. Even if you want to go tinfoil hat as well, a decision was made from someone quite high up in Rangers to play a different version of the song that they walk out to, knowing full well why they stopped playing that full version of the song. So there's lots that is going on and that people aren't actually really acknowledging and aren't really talking about. So it's very difficult to take seriously, and I imagine that whatever sanctions, decisions are made are going to be not really fitting for what's going on. And Barry says maybe that's by design, maybe they don't want to have that as an issue, but I kind of feel like the braver move would be to normalise it as opposed to make it a special event, because there isn't a huge amount of difference between going from 2,500, 3,000. I know you're talking about doubling it essentially to what you have, but it should technically be easier to manage in one big stand where there's more space for people. And I kind of feel like if you go back to these like 700, 1,000 or no fans at all, the fixture suffers, but it's more dangerous the less fans you have in because they're so in the minority.
Yeah.
And
it was policed well, though, I believe.
Yeah. These are sort of common sense points that I don't think that you're going to get. And obviously the taking a broad stroke swing at ultras culture when there's no guarantee, no indication that anyone that was skipping in, any vandalism, any graffiti was particularly tied to a Celtic ultras group. There certainly wasn't, from what you could see from the footage, violent antagonism from a Celtic ultras group after the match as well. So to talk about ultras culture in general, that needs to be banned and weeded out.
Yeah.
And it is also as well to completely ignore the fact that Celtic have been at war with their ultras all year and have literally banned them from the ground. So to not even have the awareness of the context of the situation at that club, it's very hard to take seriously.
You know, I was just going to say, see, just on the point about playing that version, that's something the best. It felt like those wee decisions that Rangers make as a club, or the actions of some of the clubs. So if you think of, I know it's a wee thing, but see like Broxy and Roxy, like coming over to the Celtic support and like saying like they're smelly and all that, it feels like they whip their fans up into a frenzy, and then when it does inevitably kick off and they overstep the mark,
they take no
responsibility. So you could, if you were a forward-thinking person who supported that club, you could think like they've got to take some accountability for it too. Like even, it's just wee things, and I know it's just kind of nitpicking, but when they read out the Celtic team like at Ibrox, it was like, and the lineup for them, like didn't say like her name and stuff like that. It seems like nitpicking, but it is. All these wee things lead to the sort of fervour and rabidness.
But that's in like a small isolated thing, and I think you will probably see comparative things in other lesser derbies, but I think those things would be easier to ignore if the club also hadn't essentially commodified sectarianism or a sectarian element of the support with orange strips and playing into all this sort of stuff, and like the music and all that. They know exactly what they're going to get from that, so it's at best irresponsible, and at worst, it's a bit more sinister than inflammatory. Yeah.
In the interest of fairness, I think we should point out that somebody at the Celtic end may have blessed themselves, so we might be the baddies.
That's the real quiz.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, what I see all the pearl clutching and all the stuff, like where you have guys like Darren McGarvey on Scotland Tonight, who's not a football fan, talking about Scottish football. Did you see the scenes? I did. It was terrible, and then just linking it back to X, Y, or Z, and people on Talk Sport, Simon Jordan, who gives a fuck, right? I don't watch any of it, but these headlines are spread across where you can't avoid them, and it's just like, can we have an honest adult conversation where we all sit down and we say, here are the factors that are inflammatory about this whole thing. And we never will.
See that as well, like all week or 2 weeks leading up to it, the likes of the Daily Record, Clyde, they fan the flames of it.
Huh?
Like they build it up, this is the fiercest derby in the world, like, it's different here. And then as soon as anything happens, they're like, they're animals, like they don't know how to behave. Whereas it sells for them in the lead up to it, and then they love if something kicks off because then it sells papers, and I don't know if it sells papers anymore, but clicks.
Yeah, but then you've got like in the Scottish Parliament, you've got that Joe Farrell, and you've got like Reform MPs like grilling her on, and you just know what angle they're going for. You just know what angle someone like Reform is going for. Get these, Irish Catholics out of this country because they're causing all the problems. There's an agenda to all of this stuff, and it's just so obvious and see-through, and it's fucking about.
Aye, well, working class youth are the problem in society. It's not the politicians that protect the paedophile princes and whatnot. It's clearly young men going out to enjoy their team playing football.
Absolutely. And we'll talk about ultras and stuff in the context. Stuart's writing something down. Okay, let's see. Yes, a little bit. Yeah, that's fine. Look, we're going to finish off. We've actually, that was a good discussion. It's probably taken off the news section. Squad contracts feature will have to go back to next week. Celtic versus Motherwell on Saturday. It's a 3 p.m. kickoff. Saturday 3 o'clock.
Kick that through to next week as well.
Got a question that came in from Andrew. Andrew's in St. Louis. Hi guys, it's always enjoyable beating them and watching their fans completely melt down. That never gets old, but despite that result, I have to admit I'm still incredibly nervous about the Motherwell game. They've probably been playing the best football in Scotland this season, and the Celtic Park crowd will not accept us sitting back and playing hoofball for 90 minutes like we did at Mordor. All season, I feel like we've been clinging to moments, thinking this result will finally be the one that kicks us on to better football, but it just hasn't happened yet. So my question for the panel is, what do you think Celtic will actually need to focus on tactically to beat Motherwell? Can we actually play football against Motherwell and win? I'm laughing at myself even typing this out, but this is the type of season it's been. Love the work you guys do. Listen love the work you guys do. Listen from all the way over in the dirty loo. Thanks.
Dirty loo?
Andrew in St. Louis.
That would make some people thirsty.
That's exactly what I said.
Love it. Barry,
yes.
I'll get each of our thoughts on Motherwell before we kind of dig in a little bit deeper. Just your thoughts at this point.
Well, I'm going to do the thing that I've been guilty of on the back of when it has felt like a turning point. But I think just the fallout of this, the togetherness of the squad, even things like seeing the players out together on Sunday night, and they'll have seen all the coverage as well. They'll see like how it's gone sort of nationwide in England and all that, talking about it. And I feel that it's almost like we'll get a chance again to try and do something special this season. And I know that vibes probably aren't enough to get us over the line, and we're going to have to rely on maybe some pieces of individual quality, but I feel like if you can't foster that sort of team spirit and belief after those 4 away games that we've had, like I think we said on here, would be amazed if we kind of came out of that positively, and we have come out really positively. So I feel that because we have been away from Celtic Park for so long, you kind of hope that the home crowd, obviously still without the Green Brigade, but the home crowd will kind of give them a hero's return welcome. And I kind of feel that if Motherwell will play the way that they always did, there will be space for us, and I think that's what we need right now, because the last thing this Celtic team needs to face is a low block. So I think there will be space for opportunities. I would love if Big Tam started and scored, because we need to find a way to get a striker to score. And I know he wasn't great at all when he came on Sunday. As Stuart said, the sort of nerve to hit a penalty and that pressure, but also how well he struck it. And you could see how much that he was defending not only the staff member but his fellow players on Sunday. I feel like if he could get a goal early doors, it would bring the house down, and it could really make him kick on and grab the shirt for the run-in. So yeah, by hook or by crook, win. I don't think it is going to be we're going to click and have an amazing performance or anything, but what I'm enthused by is that Motherwell come in and play football against us, and it will leave kind of gaps in behind.
Boud, what's your biggest fear?
All it. It's going to be very tough, especially if McGregor is out. You're then relying on, let's assume it's Bernardo that comes in, Bernardo coming in and having a performance. But as we've said, Motherwell have not only been excellent, they have been a tight defensive unit. It's been hard to score against them. We are struggling to score.
Conceded 20 goals this season in the Scottish Premiership.
Yeah. So a wee bit worried about that, but hopefully that result and the nature of it, there is a bolstering of the squad and the camaraderie and just what this is all about. So we might see something. I agree with Barry. I don't think we're going to turn it all round and have this, oh my God, this is the Celtic of old, fantastic. But hopefully we can see a bit more from the players. I kind of agree with Barry as well, in so much as I just think we're so weak on the wings, and Taneki looks so much better coming off the bench, that if you can get Maeda on the wing and have, it has to be Chanchara up top, unless Iniacho comes through
Doesn't
nowhere.
seem like aye.
He was training today, actually, but there we go.
In what city?
So I'm very worried that we'll just fall back on old habits, but hopefully we can kick on. Hopefully we can have a striker score and we can push on and win this league.
Sure. It's probably one of the toughest in terms of just from a technical standpoint, because Motherwell are very disciplined in how they set up. They play a very specific style. They've probably got the best style in the league. What can we do you think, like, positively? Is it a personnel thing? Do you think there'll be much of a change? Do you think we'll play differently from how we have been playing in the league at home, or do you think it'll be, let's just keep going, maybe change a few personnel? What's your thoughts?
I think getting the personnel right is important because I feel like... But then I just think that sometimes the amount of half-time substitutions we're having to make suggests that we just never quite get it right. Whatever it is that we try and do, it doesn't quite work out. I am not particularly optimistic about the weekend, and I think that's more just from a position of having watched this team have these moments that could galvanise and could turn a corner and then just not the next game. And I think that even on paper, this run of games from post Hibs, when you had the Stuttgart games, the Rangers games, the Aberdeen game, I think this is the hardest one of them by a distance, even though it's at home. Our form at Celtic Park has not been brilliant. It's not the sort of thing that you can rely on. And just kind of game to game, you don't know who you can trust and who you can rely upon. And my only thoughts would be the likes of Yang, for example, has to play to a higher level than he did at Ibrox, and I could see that. I think the point that you make, Boud, about maybe using Taneki more as an impact sub is very salient, and that's what I would do as well. Maybe start Maeda, maybe get Chanchara in, and then try and get some sort of personnel correct in the middle of the park. But I think it's going to be really, really difficult. I would love to just be so pleasantly surprised, and I think it would be a real statement if Celtic won 2-0, and that was just it. 2-0. Well, honestly, I think against a team of that calibre, I think that's really key.
It's just if you'd said to me a couple of years, even last year, the idea of beating Motherwell 2-0 is a huge result. I suppose it's positive that they're coming in and challenging, but it just shows you where we are.
I think that everyone else will be looking at that, and by everyone else I suppose I mean Rangers and Hearts will be looking at that going, they're going to drop points there. And I think the fact that we play first, if you could win and win comfortably, I think you'll probably see some adverse results in the other games, because now that you are at the business end, I'm seeing a lot of people, a lot of people now just quite publicly backing Hearts and saying, yeah, Hearts are going to win it. But then there's a few folks saying, but it comes down to mentality, and Celtic just aren't going away and stuff like that. And I think the longer that Celtic don't go away, the more likely it is that they'll break before us,
Here's a question. So I know that Hearts go to Rugby Park, don't they? Mm. Do you think Neil McCann would want to beat Hearts to give Rangers a chance, or let Hearts win to get them further away from us?
It's an interesting one.
He said something, so I obviously have not sat and watched Neil McCann's press conference, but I just saw one of the pull quotes was that he thinks that Kilmarnock are going to have a really good weekend.
Yeah,
right?
he did say that.
Is that right?
Yeah. Just in terms of obviously
the town,
some sort of sports day on.
Up front, they've got Maswinise, they've got Elliot Just, and in midfield they've got Elliot Watt. I think those three players have been really, really excellent this season. All three of them could be up for Player of the Year. I think that's the level of how well they've played. Elliot Watt in that midfield and Slattery, I think, are real concerns playing through our middle in terms of, just breaking through. Boud, we seem to really struggle when teams press us high and they press us with energy and they are quite aggressive. Look, the question is, do you think Celtic will play how we always play and play with a high line, or do you think we'll actually we might drop off 5 yards and just... Because I'm kind of caught between whether we actually do that and whether we should.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think we will. I mean, obviously, we've seen a little, a fairly substantial tactical change against Rangers, but I don't. No, I think it will be more of the same really when we play Motherwell. Well, I suppose.
So yeah, we're going to have. I think you're probably right, but you think we're going to have a high line? We're going to play really high up because the thing. I got some tactical background on them. A couple of points. I asked for 5 points, and one of them is how quick they are with transitions, winning the ball high up, and then breaking as quickly as possible. Maswinese is really good. He's fast. Just as really quickly as well. Said as well on the other side is really good. Barry, they're not Real Madrid. They're just a very functioning, very good team, and it's almost like you don't want to play into their hands.
Yeah, they're well coached, and they've kind of been playing this way for a long period of time now, so you can see that they're used to it. But I agree. I don't think we're going to change it up any. I think we're just going to have to kind of grind it out as we have been doing. Maybe murder ball versus Motherwell.
Oh,
Your tagline.
2 other things, Stu, from a positive standpoint.
No Welshie.
They like to build up from the back.
Don't ignore me.
Let's stay on.
They build up from the back, obviously, so playing out, which we saw Celtic take advantage of with our good friend Benji Nigrin when we beat them 3-2. The other one is they do play a high intense and high energy game. Could it also be that we essentially let them knock themselves out?
No, I think they're probably fitter or as fit as that Celtic team.
I was looking to that to be finished on a positive.
Yeah, sorry.
I think the Welsh ones the one to hang.
Yeah, I know. She'd lift me now. Yeah.
10 league games. Since we played them last, since they beat us at Celtic
Fir
Park. 10 league games, 1 defeat, 2 draws. The draws came against Hibs away and against Rangers at home. Obviously there were 10 men down to 10 men at the Rangers game. The last couple of games, obviously they lost the last game 2-1.
Got pumped in the cup as well by a dreadful Aberdeen side.
Yeah, but the 2 games before that they beat St Mirren, who aren't going through a hell of a good time at the moment as well, 5-0, and they beat Livingston 2-0. So look, are you looking forward to it, Boud?
It feels like it's been an age since I've been in Celtic Park, just with all these away games, so I'm looking forward to it in that sense. But as Stuart was saying, I think it's going to be a very, very tough game. And I suppose my concern is as well, if everybody with that... In fact, no, it's fine. We just battered Rangers. Everybody's going to be happy. We're all going to be up for it.
Battered them now without a shot on goal.
Correct.
If we do the same Motherwell, we'll be just fine.
Absolutely. Look, on the Cynic, we will kind of start the look ahead to the Motherwell game tomorrow on the weekend update. We will also have a reaction to the Motherwell game dropping not long after the final whistle. And this week we've already had the agenda. We had the debrief, and you'll listen to the Cynic Weekly. We usually have 7 to 8 podcasts per week. We had an article up on the website which is available at thecynic.co, which is free to everyone. You can go and have a look at that, about Celtic's last minute winners.
Should say that's 7 or 8, not 7 to 8 podcasts per
It's
week.
actually 7 to 8.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so sign up. But yeah, the other kind of brief news is that Aberdeen have appointed
Stephen Robinson.
As a manager.
Eats light bulbs for dinner.
After a worldwide search, and St Mirren are using a global football recruitment agency to find their new manager.
Is that the Football Manager database?
It is indeed, yes. Listen, it's been a joy.
It's come up with Neil Lennon. Interesting.
We'll obviously the weekly will be back next week, but as I say, we'll have a preview towards the game on Sunday, and we'll have a reaction to it. Check us out at thecynic.co. Regular podcasts, usually about 32 per month. Great stuff. Stuart Diggin, a pleasure as always, sir.
Thanks for having me. It was great fun.
Chris Boud, a joy.
Thank you. Hail.
And Barry Gallagher, always a pleasure.
Thank you. Sack the board.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. We sack the board. We should say that the Celtic Collective put out an excellent statement on everything that happened at the weekend. Check it out on Twitter. Check out their website as well. If you type in the Celtic Collective into Google, it's the first search result, so check that out. Lovely stuff. We'll cover more of that next week. From Stuart Duggan, from Chris Boud, from Barry Gallagher, from myself, Chris Gallagher. This has been the Cynic Weekly, and we'll speak to you down the road.